Welcome back, folks, for a new episode of Elite. Now today we're going to talk about the Henschel Tiger, or the Tiger 1. Now this tank is already in the game as a tier 7 heavy tank for the Germans, but this version of the tank is going to be a premium tier 6 heavy tank. It will use a historically accurate 88mm L56 instead of the L71. The engine power is going to be 50 less than the historical 700, and the rest of the stats are mostly the same as the Tiger 1. So stats like the armor, the hull traverse, the turret traverse, the terrain resistance, the view range, the accuracy, the aim time are all the same. The only difference is the gun, the DPM, and the engine power. So yeah, stats are not that special. But what is interesting about this tank is the fact that it is used by the Japanese instead of the Germans. And what that means is that we're likely going to see the introduction of Japanese heavy tanks pretty soon. And if you know Japanese tank warfare, they're not that good. And there are several monstrosities with the design of several Japanese vehicles. So there are actual tanks or tank designs that are bigger and super heavier than the mouse. That's pretty crazy. So I have that video in progress and still researching, but I'll give you guys a taste at the end of this video. But yeah, we're likely going to see the introduction of Japanese heavy tanks because wargaming has a habit of introducing premium tanks of the same category of tanks that will be introduced a patch later. So tanks like the Chinookai was released just before the release of Japanese mediums like the STB-1, and like the AMX CDC was released a patch before the AMX 30B, AMX 30A. So yeah, we're likely going to see the Japanese heavy tanks. Now, I could spend the whole day talking about the Tiger 1, which I'm not going to because you can just read that on Wikipedia. But the history between the Tiger 1 and Japan is kind of interesting because tanks that were used by Japanese people during World War II were kind of crap in my opinion. They were using the Chiha, the Chihi, and the Chinu, which are pretty much crap, but against like China or some other countries in the Pacific theater, yeah, they don't have armies, they don't have like tank forces, so Chinukais or Chinus or Chihas were pretty much sufficient. But what is designed later on for the Japanese army is the super heavy, gigantic crazy tanks that were never actually made into production because of the lack of steel. So they were visiting Germany and inspecting the Tiger 1 tank. So the Tiger 1 was researched and developed in 1941, just when the Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. So yeah, they stepped in a pothole and got America involved. And afterwards, the Tiger 1 was developed and produced from 1942 to 1944. During this time, Japan already got themselves, fuss with America. So America got involved, and yeah, American warships prevented any transport of Tiger 1 tanks from Germany to Japan. So that sucks, but yeah, the Japanese never actually saw a Tiger 1 in their own country. So they bought one Tiger 1. It never made it from Germany to Japan. So that sucks, but that's the whole basis for Japanese using a Tiger 1. So there's actually a connection between the Tiger 1 and Japan. But for now, yeah, wargaming is going easy, alright? Going easy and putting this Tiger 1 to train up your Japanese heavy tank crews. So yeah, why was the Tiger 1 so popular with the Japanese people? Well, they were using stuff like the Chiha and the Chihi and the Chinus, which are pretty much crap. So Tiger 1, holy shit, that's amazing, right? But the shortage of steel and other stuff prevented the Japanese from developing their own super heavy tanks. So yeah, the Tiger 1 was pretty good because it countered Soviet-made T-34s and KV series, whereas the Panzer IIIs and Panzer IVs were not that good against those tanks. So the Japanese were interested, but too little too late, right? So we're going to see Japanese heavy tanks pretty soon, and they are pretty monstrosities of nature. So alright. And here are the in-game models for the Tiger 1 exported to Japan. Now it's basically a stock Tiger 1. Everything is the same as a Tiger 1, alright? The turret even looks the same. So the gun is the historically accurate 88mm L56, so shorter barrel, or smaller in length, I guess. But everything is the same as a Tiger 1. So this is how the Tiger 1 look historically, alright? It's not the gigantic barrel for the 88mm. That's not historically accurate. So it does have the smoke grenades, flares, or smoke grenades on the side of the turret. So that's good. No machine gun. Where's the MG? Put the machine gun on top, man. Oh well. So the armor is the same as the Tiger 1. So 80mm around the sides and back, and 100mm on the front. So armor is the same. The turret armor is the same too. 100mm on the front, 80 at the sides, 80 at the rear. So Tiger 1, alright? The armor is the same. The gun, the only basic difference between this and the Tiger 1 is the gun, the DPM, and the engine power. That's pretty much it. So here are the stats. So it's going to be a premium tier 6 Japanese heavy tank. It will cost about the same as a TOG, in my opinion. So around 3,000 or so, 3,200 or so. Alright. Hit points is decent for a tier 6 heavy tank. 950, but this is the same as a VK3601H. So kind of disappointing because I would expect the Tiger to have about 1000 health, since the Tiger 1 at tier 7 has almost the same health as a tier 8 heavy tank, or actually the same health as a tier 8 heavy tank. So actually I would expect this tank to have about the same health as a tier 7 heavy tank. So likely around 1100 health. That would be pretty good, but then again the armor is still the same as armor, so the health is alright. Engine power is 50 less than the historically accurate 700, so 650. The stock engine weighs the same as the Tiger 1, 57 tons. Power to weight ratio is alright, 11.4, but the actual power to weight ratio on the actual Tiger 1 is about 11.9, so this is alright. Top speed is the same, 40 kilometers per hour going forwards and 12 in reverse. Hull traverse is the same, 26 degrees per second. Turret traverse is 3 degrees faster at 21 degrees per second, so this is actually a little bit better. Terrain resistance is the same, 1.15 for hard, 1.34 for medium, 2.78 for soft. So this thing could get bogged down in swamps a lot. View range is the same as a stock turret, 370 meters. Radial range is 650-ish, so that's alright. Hull armor is 100 in front, 80 at the sides, 80 at the rear. Same goes for the turret, so decent armor for a tier 6. Alright, elite gun, or the top gun, or the same gun, is the 88mm L56. Penetration is not that good, 132 for normal AP, 171 for APCR, and 44 for high explosive. 220 damage per shot. It does fire pretty quick though. Has about 10 rounds per minute, so reloads every 6 seconds or so, which is pretty good. DPM is actually pretty good for a tier 6 heavy tank, about 2,100. So with the gun rammer and vent and a good crew, you could have about 2,400-ish DPM, which is actually pretty goddamn good if you penetrate for a tier 6. Accuracy is the same as a Tiger 1, 0.36, which is alright. Aim time is 2.2 seconds. Gun depression is 8 degrees. So you could snipe, but the accuracy doesn't really matter that much because of how fast you can pump out the shots. So you can actually spam the shots as you go. So that's alright. So accuracy is negatable. Don't have to put that into account that much because how much you spam the shots. But if you have like 15 seconds reload, yeah, you do depend on accuracy a little bit. So that's alright. So basically, it's a stock Tiger 1 at tier 6. It's a little bit better than the VK3601. Alright, the side armor is better, but it's stock Tiger 1 at tier 6. And let's compare the Japanese Tiger 1 with the VK3601H, the tank before the Tiger 1 for the Germans. Now, I do have the Tiger 1 stock-wise as reference. So armor is mostly the same, but the side armor on the Tiger 1 is better because it's 80 millimeters instead of 60. So you can see here, it's 60 millimeters, but you don't have this space basket that's cover up the engine compartment, but that's a small detail. So armor is mostly the same. The turret armor is 100 millimeters at the front, 80 at the sides, and 80 at the rear. So same as with the VK. Hull armor is 100 millimeters at the front, same goes for the VK. So armor is mostly the same. The gun is the 88 millimeter L56. Engine power is actually a little bit better. So let's look at the mobility first, then we talk about the gun. So engine power is better, but the VK weighs less. So the power to weight ratio is 0.5 less than the VK, not as fast. Top speed is not as good, so 10 kilometers slower. Hull traverse is, where the hell is the hull traverse? Actually 2 degrees better than the VK, so that's good. Alright, terrain resistance is the same, that's good. Alright, turret traverse is 4 degrees slower, but that's alright. View range is the same, 370 meters. Radio is not as good, but 650 is alright. It's pretty standard, so that's decent enough. Now, hit points is the same. Oh, then again, you're compared to the Tiger 1. Tiger 1 has 1,500 health. That's freaking ridiculous. So, in my opinion, if you're going to give this tank 1,200 health, averaging for tier 7 heavy tank, that would be amazing. But I don't know. It's already pretty decent armor for our tier 6 heavy tank. So, meh. Alright, let's look at the gun. The gun is the same. Penetration, same, 132. DPM is about 100 better. So with the gun rammer, you can go up to 2,400-ish with the Tiger 1. So that's good. Reload faster, obviously. Accuracy is the same. Aim time is the same. Gun depression is the same. So most of the stats are the same as a VK3601H, except this is a premium tank. You make more credits. Alright, that doesn't make sense, because premium tanks are supposed to be a little bit worse than actual tanks of the same tier. But this tank is not. It's basically the same tank as the VK3601 with better side armor and better DPM. Alright, that doesn't make sense. So if this tank, if the Japanese Tiger 1 has about averaging of 1,200 health. So let's look at tier 7 heavy tanks. We can see that the average health of tier 7 heavy tank is about 1,400 or so. But if this tank, the Japanese Tiger 1, has about 1,200 health, like the Tiger 1 for tier 7, that will be an instant buy for me, because I love the Tiger 1. I love my Tiger 1 at tier 7. I'll probably like this because the DPM is ridiculous. And the penetration for a tier 7 heavy tank or tier 6 heavy tank, I should compare tier 6, right? Oh, no. So the average penetration of tier 6 heavy tank is about 170, 165 or so. So the penetration is not as good, but 132 is not that bad. And you can spam shots every 6 seconds. So yeah, you could play out the 5 Shermans versus 1 Tiger scenario. So 132 millimeters, it's not bad penetration. Now, this tank doesn't have preferential matchmaking. Alright, so it will see up to tier 8s, but that's what gold shells are for, and teammates, and scapegoats for teammates, but it's alright. In my opinion, it's alright. And the final verdict on the Japanese Tiger 1 is that this tank is roughly a premium VK3601H with a little bit better side armor, better DPM, at the cost of 0.5 horsepower per ton ratio. It's a pretty decent tank. It will make a lot of credits, and it will see tier 4s. That's ridiculous. 100 millimeters of armor for tier 4s? Ooh, God, just like pub stomp people. 2,400-ish DPM. Oh God, just like Seal Club all day long. Jesus, I feel sorry for tier 4s. But this tank is pretty decent, and I do recommend you buy it for like 30% off on sale, but for now it's decent. All right, it's not as crappy as some other tanks like the Section 1. That's just garbage. So it's pretty decent. Now, as promised, here's a little bit taste of what Japanese super heavy tanks and my research about it. So here's a little bit taste, all right? I'll save the rest for tomorrow's video. But for now, here's a little bit taste of it. So we can see here is the Type 100 or OI 140T. So it is a super heavy tank designed by the Japanese. It uses a 120 or 105 millimeter gun. It weighs about 140 tons. It's a little bit bigger than the mouse. It looks like a gigantic version of the Soviet T-28, like a giant version of that tank. Has a giant tumor on the back of the turret. I think it's an anti-aircraft turret. It looks so stupid. It has two small machine gun boob or small cannon boobs as mini turrets. So yeah, the designs were pretty ridiculous and they are a monstrosity. So I'll probably post a speculation video on the Japanese heavy tank line, but for now, just a little bit taste. So here is the proposed, or my proposed, heavy tank line branch. So take a quick look, pause the video if you want, but these are the likely tanks for the heavy tank line. So that's pretty crazy. But yeah, it's a little bit bigger than the mouse. What is this thing? It's like a boat. It's like a battleship. Fuck it, we have a battleship. But thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a comment below on what you think about the Japanese Tiger 1. And if you're interested about seeing the Japanese heavy tank line branch supposed leak, subscribe to my channel for that. It'll be coming soon or tomorrow. But thank you guys for watching this video. Rate this video if you can. That would help me out a lot. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, subscribe, whatever. So to keep up with the info. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.